Hey, YouTube. How are y'all? Hey, Insta. Sorry that I came in with that bombastic shake. I hit the table. My apologies. I hope that y'all are doing well today. This is going to be the Keke Palmer conversation. It's going to be probably, might be, might not be. I don't know. Because everybody's like, this is the last time I'm going to talk about it. I don't know. I might have something else to say later, but I'm going to address it now. I've probably talked to three or four of y'all in my DMs today. The nail tech was talking about it. Yeah. So, um, I'm gonna just get on live and talk about it because I guess because the conversation needs to be had. And I do know that there's a lot of you who have been following me for a really long time, and if you haven't been following me for a really long time, Feminine Success started as the Inspired Life. I am Yaya Smith. How rude of me not to introduce myself. Hey, how y'all doing? I'm Yaya Smith. I'm the founder of Feminine Success, which was at one point the Inspired Life. And it was all about living a life that was inspired by your spirit, by what drives you, what moves you. And then I realized that helping women to do that, helping women to step into that power was so important because our children learn from us, and men are visual. So whether we realize it or not, our men are also learning from us. And so for myself and my community, decided that I would focus on women because we were not created beautiful for no reason. We were not given this influence and this power that we often have from birth. If you notice, a baby girl is like, everyone's so delicate and everyone's so, oh my God, it's a girl, it's a girl. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why the feminine inspires protection, provision from the very beginning. And that if we knew how to tap into our power, if we knew how to tap into our ability to heal, create community, communicate, then everything around us would expand and reflect. And so I started Feminine Success, and that has been absolutely the story, is that the women who have walked through my programs, my coaching, I have retreats, they have experienced that their entire world has changed. You can find some of them here. Hey, Kenyatta, there's one there. You can find some of them here on the live at all times. You can always reach out to them. So I really wanted to just share that little piece so you know who I am, you know where I come from, because there's a lot going on in these internet streets as far as coaching as well. I've been doing this for 8 years, so almost a decade now, and I have been extremely successful at it. As far as I folks don't ask for refunds. Folks aren't out here like, oh my God, I didn't get what I came for. I can't believe you said this and that. That's not happening over here. Um, in this community, let me make sure that I'm plugged in over here for y'all on Instagram. Because if you've been around for a while, you know my phone be dying. But that's not happening over here. You get what you come for, you get more than you came for, and the transformation is real. And so, with all that being said, I also would be remiss not to mention that when most of you who have been here for a while, when most of you found Feminine Success, you found me, Yaya. Um, I was deep into a religious group that I am no longer affiliated with. Um, and a lot of my beliefs were rooted in that teaching. Now, I am also not the person who's like, screw all religion and all of these things. But I am a person who has always been a seeker, and I am a truth seeker. And when I realize that, yes, this may be a piece of the truth, but this is not the whole truth, I'm going to continue to seek the truth. And so I've been really quiet as I have been on this internal journey. If you've been around for a while, you know there was a time when I was going live every single day. And it's not that anything that I taught before are not things that I don't still believe. It's just that my understanding of them has expanded. And rather than being the person who's like, let me come on here and teach y'all as I'm going, I really was like, and it wasn't even me. I could not get on and teach in that moment because I was in such a deep transformative space for myself. So, not that I'm no longer transforming, but I'm on the other side of a lot of that transformative work. It's been about 2 years that I haven't really been giving y'all that much on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all my platforms, but I'm coming back. I am on Threads. Follow me on Threads. We'll see how well I do there because I was not a fan of Twitter. Not that I wasn't a fan, but I just didn't. I'm not gonna be on here all day. but but I do like the concept of Threads. So follow Feminine Success on Threads. Um, but let's get into this Keke Palmer conversation. Hey, y'all. Hey, beautiful people. So many beautiful people on today's live. I wish I could say hello to all of you, but here is me saying hello to all of you. Hello to everyone over on YouTube. So glad to see y'all here. The comments are open. Leave your comments, leave your questions. This is not the space where you don't get to question, okay? This is not the space where you don't get to, we don't talk back and forth because I'm a debater. That's my personality type. For those of you who are into personality tests and that kind of thing, I'm a debater, and I love a good, intelligent dialogue. Oh yes. So let's get into it. Okay. So anyone who has seen what's going on with Keke Palmer and her man, Keke goes to the Usher concert. She's out on girls' night, obviously, because she's there with all her girls. And her outfit was a little risque. It was a little risque. And also, Keke's an adult. So her outfit's risque. Her boyfriend shares the video and says, that outfit, though, you're a mom. Now let's backtrack a little bit because last week, Keke, her boyfriend, her mom were on her podcast, and Keke was very clear that if they have any issues going on, it doesn't get handled on the internet. It gets handled at the house. I get it. I was raised in a household. How many of y'all here? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you were raised in a household that was like, what goes on in this house stays in this house. All right. Not that that was not a little teens toxic, but that's the kind of upbringing I have. So I get it. I get it when Keke says, don't ask me about my man, because then I'm going to ask you about your man. So we're not asking Keke about her man. But her man decided that he was going to ask us, or not necessarily ask, share with us, the court of public opinion, his opinion on his woman. I don't know if bro didn't realize, but many of us have a little sister kind of affinity to Sister Keke. And many of us as women have experienced our phases where we're like, you know what? It's time for me to show out. It's time for me to show out. I need to show a little skin. I need to remember who I am. I need to feel like I still got it, whatever have you. Especially after you have just had a baby. Been there, been there. I got 4 children, been there. If you have one child, if you have just gone through a phase of your life where your weight was fluctuating, or your self-esteem or your inner, the mind was like, you know what? You've been there. Where, yes, Heru Living says ego, where, yes, you need to nourish your ego for a little while, because we were giving an ego not to beat it down and make it go away. We were given an ego so that we can nurture it and use it for what we need it for. Keke needs her ego for her career path. She absolutely does. Now, should she allow her ego to overtake her whole life and run the show? No. But putting on a dress so that you can feel a little more like yourself is not letting your ego run the show. That's just making a decision to support your ego in the moment that your ego might need it. So also know, this is a very balanced space here on the Feminine Success page. I'm not here for burying your inner child. I'm not here for killing your ego. I'm not here for any of those things. I'm not here for suppressing and subduing your emotions as a woman or your logic as a woman. We need all of ourselves. All right. So I'm here for bringing those things into harmony. Okay. So that's what happens. That's what happens. And the internet goes wild. The internet goes wild. The internet does what it does. The internet is tearing him to shreds. And then there's another side of the internet that's tearing her to shreds. And in all of that, I think there is a deeper conversation that needs to be had around how we see relationships, how we see ourselves in relationships, how we are showing up in relationships. Let me pull y'all's comments up over here on YouTube so I can see what y'all are saying. How we are showing up in relationships and how we're expecting others to show up in relationships. Because in truth, one of the things I've always said for myself, 12 years, well, 11 years married, 13 years together with my husband, 4 children in. For my clients who are either going from being single to in a relationship, navigating their single season, maybe they're married. One of the things that I've always said is make sure that you are aligning yourself with a man who has the capacity to receive you. And I don't mean just you who you are today. Is that man on his growth journey so that as you grow, he doesn't become too small? Because that's a really important measure for us as women. We naturally expand. That's what the body does. That's what our minds do. We take an ingredient, we turn it into 16 meals. We take a little piece of something and grow it naturally. Even the earth, which is a feminine substance, takes a seed and nurtures and incubates it into an entire tree or an entire plant. So we have to realize as women, we do not stop growing. Yes, there are seasons where we are not growing as much, where we're maybe taking rest, we're taking a break, but we're constantly looking to improve our lives, to improve ourselves, to improve our bodies, to improve our lifestyles, whatever it is. And that's our job. And so you want to make sure that you are choosing a man whose box is big enough to hold you. All right. So it's so important because many of us are here on God-sized missions as women. And we are realizing that the mission that we were sent here for, we can no longer ask for anybody's permission to step into it. But here you are on your God-sized mission, trying to fit yourself into a man-sized box and getting upset when it don't work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work without you cutting off your arm and cutting off your leg and tying your hair down and shrinking yourself to get inside of it. All right. Another thing here, when we are in relationships, we cannot forget. I don't care. I'm a married woman, and I do believe in the power of submission. I also believe in the gift of submission. I also know that submission is a two-way street. You are always in choice in your life. It is so important. And these are things that, listen, y'all are getting a live coaching call right now because I just felt like this was necessary in case Keke or her friends or anybody else might see it. You are always in choice in your relationships. That's something that my mom instilled in me, to understand that I always have a choice. Do not allow yourself and your choice to be overpowered by anybody. When a man decides to marry you, or you decide to marry a man, that does not mean that he now owns your choices or that you own his choices. That's not what that means. And somehow, when we heard two become one, we decided that that means we are no longer individual human entities, that everything has to be one. That's not what that means. What it means is that two are now creating one. You two come together, you create a child. You two come together, you're creating a life. Your two visions come together and create a legacy. Two are becoming one. But Dr. Miles Monroe said it best. It is so important to retain your singleness, even in a relationship, even in a marriage. It is important to retain your oneness, because your oneness is you and God. That is your you and Godness. And what's so interesting, so interesting, is that when we are in church, they'll tell you that, you're married, you're in a relationship, whatever, you no longer belong to yourself. You belong to your spouse belongs to you, all of these things. But then when they talk about the road to the kingdom, when they talk about the thread that you have to navigate in order to reconnect with God, in order to come back into union, because that's what getting into the kingdom is, coming back into union with the divine. They tell you, you can't take your mother, you can't take your father, you can't take your child, you can't take your spouse, you can't take anybody but you. Well, which one is it? And so if you are on your growth journey and you are making your choices, this is why they say communication is so important in a relationship, because you've got to be able to communicate what is happening with you. Hey, I'm not on that right now. I'm not feeling that. And even them saying in return, you know what? I don't like that, but I accept it. Because when you choose to be together, you accept the journey together. And way too many of us, I saw someone say in my Facebook group today, well, did he get with Keke and she was known as the woman who had her cheeks out, or did she just become this way? Even if she just became that way, if that's where she is on her journey right now, then talk to her about that. Do not try to co-opt her journey and make her journey your journey in general. And the same goes for her when it comes to him. We have to be willing to honor and accept where each other are. And if you won't allow it, if it's something that, you know what, that's just not what I'm allowing in my realm, in my cipher, then you decide to part ways. And that's okay. That's okay. Gabby says, and embarrass her. And you know what? You know what? This is something I've been saying since the shamed thing has been like a buzzword. Like such and such is shaming. He's shaming her for her dress, and they're shaming her for being a mom, and they're shaming her for her body. And nobody can shame you for what you are not ashamed of. And I will say that again. No one can shame you for anything that you are not ashamed of. Ladies, stop being ashamed of yourselves. Stop being ashamed of yourself. And this is not to say that everything we should just be out here naked and all these things all over everywhere. But I will ask you this. We all feel it getting hotter. We all feel it getting hotter. I'm here in New Orleans. It's in the triple digits on a regular basis. If we here in America get to a point where it is so hot that we all have to walk around scantily clad, barely in clothes, because literally nobody can take the heat, is it sustainable for us to continue living in the fear of men? Living in the fear, and I'm going to be specific, living in the fear of men who cannot control their impulses. If that's the society that we're headed towards because we refuse to take care of our earthly environment, then those men are going to have to go because they do not fit in a society that is evolving. If we evolve out of fashion, then what? Then what? So we have to stop being ashamed of our natural selves and our natural journey and the path that we're taking through this life, because so much, and this is kind of like I mentioned, I was deeply involved in a religious group for most of my adulthood, and I was raised in a church, so I know that shame. And we are trained from children to be ashamed, not because God has a problem with it, because what will they think? What will they think about me? What will they say about me? And I got to the point personally where I realized that I will not be able to stand before the Most High, the divine, and say that I skipped steps on my journey because I was scared of what people were going to say. I was scared that they were going to think. Them people. Okay. And I see, because someone on here mentioned it's her ego that has her wanting to wear these dresses and these different things, but it's also his ego that's saying, well, that's a representation of me, and that's a representation. No, that's a you represent you. And what we're seeing of you right now is not a productive man who takes initiative in his life. So what you're frustrated about is that she is not living up to the image that you have in your head that is scaffolding your ego right now. But who a woman is should never be scaffolding a man's ego, because you'll never be able to shapeshift yourself enough to be who anyone else wants you to be. Nobody else. You can't shrink yourself enough for it. You can't stretch yourself enough for it. It will never be enough until they decide to become who they need to be for themselves. Let's see. On Venus says, I think this was also the way Usher was interacting with her. I think it was the way she was interacting with Usher. Usher was doing that's what Usher does. He's a crooner. He serenades the ladies. That's what he does. But we also have to realize that Keke is an actress. And so that's like her big brother. He's putting on a show. She's adding to the show. Here's my thing. When Keke was pregnant, Darius shared several videos of her shaking her booty and right in the camera and all these different things, bare naked and all these things. Now it's a moral issue. I've seen several people say, you got her pregnant. You didn't marry her. Somebody said he has other children out there somewhere. Now it's a moral issue. No, that's an ego issue. And here's the thing. Keke nursing and nurturing her own ego after it maybe has taken some hits, that's her job as a human being. We are here to nurture and care for all the parts of ourselves. Him trying to feed his ego off of her is a problem. His job is to make himself feel better. His job is to nurture his own ego and to also nurture his spirit. But it's not to do this kind of moral gaslighting and spiritual gaslighting that folks try to do to women specifically when they're not feeling like themselves. They're not feeling their 100%. You need to figure out where your 100% is and get there, sir, because sis is putting the work in. She got yams now because she in the gym now, because she pushed that baby out now. You wasn't in practice, man. That's just what it is. Yes, his ego is demolished. And that really, I mean, that's at the end of the day, his ego being demolished is his own choice. He gets to choose what it means to him. I'm sure he knows Usher. I'm sure they have been at parties together and everything. His friends seeing her and all of that, that was more so an issue than anything else. And that's not Keke's problem. It's really not. Another thing that I shared today that I truly believe is that, and a lot of people took issue with this, but that's you know what? This is my space, and I say what I want in my space. Boyfriends don't have no authority. Boyfriends don't have no authority. I will ask you for your opinion and your input, sir. And I may even take it into consideration. But as an adult whose parents have raised me, paid a good penny for my education, and for my ability to be able to make solid decisions, for a woman who has been making decisions in her life before him and will be making decisions if he is gone. If a person, and this is me preaching to me, because I've been here, especially when it comes to my husband. I have been in that place where I'm not doing what I need to do, and I'm just nitpicking at him about what he ain't doing and everything I see. I get it. But you don't get to make anybody move faster, slower, change, any of that. You get to decide whether you will accept it or whether you will move on. Now, it's okay for them to have a conversation in the background that says, here are the boundaries in our relationship. Here's how we will show up. That's not for us on the internet, though. That's not our business. Get us out the group chat. On the other side of that, I don't know if y'all noticed, but I noticed. Y'all might want to go back and watch the video, because what I noticed is as soon as she got out of Usher's hands, she did like this. And I know what did like this mean. If you do like this and your hands empty, what that mean, ladies? That mean I belong to me. That's what. If I'd did like this, that's what that mean to me. Y'all might want to go back and watch the video if y'all didn't see it, but that's what I saw. So with that also, I am not married. Exactly, Shanette. What that also speaks to is maybe this was a conversation that was happening at home, and it has spilled out over into the Twitter streets. I did see he deactivated his page because bro is getting up. Oh my goodness. Does anybody need dinner tonight? Because y'all really ate this man alive. Now, I'm not the fan of like canceling somebody or eating them up or dragging them across the internet, because that's really not necessary. He is entitled to feel how he feels. That is 100% okay. We can't say, she can't even say, oh, you're wrong for feeling that way. No, we can all feel how we feel. However, I bet he learned not to put it on the internet again. Because didn't Keke just say we handle our stuff in the closet, in the back of the closet, in the pantry? That's why. So now and you know what though? I wish my husband was up here because he would tell y'all there have been several times that he has had to learn these kind of lessons. Listen to your woman, fellas on here. If you have a smart woman, if you have a woman that's about her business, about her prayer life, about her mental health and wellness, about her stuff, listen to your woman. My husband probably had to learn that lesson 20 times before he got it, but he got it now. Mm-hmm. But does she want to be married? That's a good question because she might not. Maybe she doesn't want to be married. Dee Dee says, why does he make her motherhood a moral call? Ooh, that's important. But he was happy to have a baby out of wedlock if he was so traditional. Sorry, exactly. And we talked about that a minute ago, that apparently he has other children. I don't know how true it is. Allegedly, he has other children. Go look it up because I don't know. He's gotten her pregnant. So how traditional are you trying to be? He has posted her online himself. He's posted her cheeks, his cheeks, and everybody else's cheeks online. I think that he was trying to go low. I think he was trying to go low by and it's like when that ego is bruised and you don't have your ego under control. This is also to me why it's so important to nurture and nourish your ego as well as your spirit, because when you don't nourish your ego, it's like a ticking time bomb. It's waiting for the moment where it can just rear its ugly head. Nurture yourself, take care of yourself, because his ego has been Keke Palmer's baby daddy, Keke Palmer's boyfriend, for how long now? He has to break away. Not that he has to leave her, but he does have to forge his own identity so that his identity is not wrapped up in what's she doing, how she's showing up, and all these other things. Because now that it is, he is hitting her. He's trying to hit her where it hurts. But if you know a Virgo like I know a Virgo, I'm just saying. Ooh, CB salons. Oh, that's intense. That is intense. Listen, listen, y'all on here spilling the tea, okay? Yes, on Venus said he saw red and also is a huge red flag. Communication much. Exactly. That's my thing. If I tell my husband specifically, this is, I don't want to do it this way. Like, this is a no for me. And he then goes behind or above me and is like, well, I'm going to do it. That's a red flag. How do you want to collaborate in a relationship and you not trying to collaborate in a relationship? Who is he besides her child's father? So I'm not sure. I think he has like a comedy thing going on. I do know his brother was in Insecure. So he's probably a part of like a well-known like Hollywood family or something like that. um and it's just like one of the siblings or something. I don't know. I'm not anti hypergamy at all, but I'm also not the femininity person who's like, oh, you need to marry up, you need to marry up. Because to me, up could be many ways. You could be spiritually depleted and meet someone who is there to fill your cup spiritually or mentally, emotionally, financially, whatever it is. So marrying up could happen in various different ways as far as I'm concerned. So I'm not like, oh, we don't know who he is and we know who she is, so they shouldn't be together. That's not always the case. That's really not always the case. Sometimes we do, especially when you are a powerhouse woman, sometimes you want that person who nobody knows, who you can just go home and that's your refuge. That man, though, needs to have solid footing in his manhood that is not wrapped up in, can I get this woman to listen? Can I make her do this? Can I make her change? Can I? No, because if that is what his manhood is measured by, then he's always going to be using you abusing you, as Dr. Miles Monroe says. He will always abuse you to figure out who he is. And abuse is not just putting your hands on people. Dr. Miles Monroe said it best: where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. If that man does not know the purpose of a woman, it's inevitable that he will abuse the woman. If he doesn't know the purpose of himself as a man, he will abuse himself as a man. So listen, he has to, yes, you have to be able to handle being with a powerful woman. You just do. You do. And we live in a time right now where the feminine is rising and remembering itself in men and in women. And so men who are trying to suppress women are also suppressing themselves. And that is not sustainable. And that's one of the reasons why I had to walk away from the group that we were a part of, because I would not sit by and watch, even though my husband has never treated me like anything other than a capital Q queen. But I couldn't sit by and watch other women be treated that way. No, I was going to say something and somebody was going to be mad. They was either going to carry me out or I was going to walk out. So I decided to just walk out. But misuse of a person or thing is abuse. Exactly. Misuse. It's not always about, is he putting his hands on me? Is he doing, is it? No. Is he talking to me crazy? Because some people are very passive aggressive and they will mentally and emotionally manipulate you and you don't even realize what's going on. That's why it's so important to be grounded and rooted within yourself as a woman and not be waiting for someone's validation or permission to own all of who you are. And as I'm saying this, I'm thinking, like, I don't disagree with India Arie either. I don't disagree with the fact that if we are representing a culture, we should have standards and guidelines for what that looks like. But when we are showing up for ourselves as ourselves, you have jurisdiction over you. Yes, be led and guided by the Spirit, but also know that sometimes that's not going to look like what it looks like for the next person, and they might not understand it. Let's see what they're saying over here on YouTube. Maya says, I was going to post about this earlier. This idea of ownership in relationships needs a closer look. Autonomy and healthy boundaries are necessary for healthy relationships. Exactly. Which Miles Monroe one is this from? Listen, I may have to share like a playlist of Miles Monroe videos inside of the society group. Look up The Purpose and Power of Woman. That's a really good one. The Purpose and Power of Marriage. And then he has one where there's like singleness in the title. Look for that on YouTube. All right. Hey, Ariania, so good to see you too. I think I know that group, and it has been disheartening to see. It is very disheartening to see. It's very disheartening to see women. And what I realized being a part of that group is the women are perpetuating it. The women are perpetuating it. My fathers, both of them, my father, my biological father, and my stepfather, deeply instilled the understanding in me that a man cannot do anything that a woman does not allow. And when I see the way that those women are perpetuating their own abuse, not only could I not allow myself to get carried out of there, but it's very much like Harriet Tubman said, I could have freed 1,000 slaves if they had known they were slaves. They don't even realize it. If you have not watched the Shiny Happy People documentary, Shiny Happy People is a really good look into how we are as women perpetuating our own abuse and sweeping things under the rug. I'm not a sweep it under the rug woman. I'm about to shake the whole carpet out. Absolutely not. We're going to air this place out. Okay. CB Salon says, I hope Keke don't end up like Halle Berry or Sherry Shepherd or Mary J. Blige. Listen, they haven't even been together long enough for all of that. Pay attention. Pay attention. They have not been together long enough and that child has not been alive long enough for him to try to get alimony and child support and all that. Mm-mm. So I hope that's not his intentions, because Lord, we could have a whole nother live about choosing men. And the Bible has so many, for those of you who are believers in the Bible, has so many red flags to look out for that help you choose a man better, for those of you who need the Bible to guide you and direct you into how to do that. And then if you don't, you can look at certain people and know. You can. You just telling yourself, I shouldn't judge. I shouldn't think that. I shouldn't say that. Well, maybe I'm tripping. You can look at them and tell. You can. Start judging. If not for overall general judging, judge for you. Judge what is and is not going to fly in your world. And sometimes you absolutely can judge a book by its cover. That's why things like face reading is a thing. Yeah, you can judge a book by its cover. So I can't really tell you how, because that's just a gift that I have, but you can look at a person and tell when they are about to play games. Uh Charlie says the saddest part is the men don't even know the audience they are teaching, who are physically abusive at home from their vitriol. Oh, they do. They do. They do. They do. The scripture tells you, as is the leader, so are their people. So never think that the leader does not know exactly how things are going down. Another conversation for another day. But yeah. All right, ladies. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. I was in that group, and baby, it was God who carried me out of there. You know, I kind of say the same thing, but overall, the whole conversation here is, ladies, do not give your power and your choice away to a man who needs to feed on your power. Just like we know, y'all, I see y'all talking all the time about like people who drain your energy. There are also men who drain your power. They don't have power of their own, and so they drain yours. An analogy that my husband uses all the time is that women are like the outlet and men are the plug. But that plug is pulling your power to something. Are they pulling it in a generative way, in a way that's feeding power back into you, that's building your life, that's building your comfort, that's building your environment? Or are they pulling it into bullshit, like their egos, like what their friends think, like whatever, another woman's pockets? Are they pulling your power, your resources into things that do not matter? And that's why you always have to be in choice. Be in choice. Do not be afraid. Don't worry about people calling you aggressive and masculine and all this other foolishness, because that's really what it is. It's a way, just like he was trying to weaponize motherhood against her, there are people who are trying to weaponize your femininity against you and say, oh, you're not feminine enough. You're not this enough. You're not soft enough. That's why nobody deal with y'all black women, because y'all not this. You know how many of us are out here married and being well loved and not bowing down and kissing nobody's daggone feet just because they need it? I might kiss your feet because I want to, but not because the only way you feel big is if I'm small. Absolutely not. Because messing around with me, I'm going to cut your Achilles tendon and you're going to be down here on the floor with me. Do not play with women. Women are not only healers and nurturers, we are also destroyers. And that's the part of femininity that we have forgotten. And we are allowing people to tell us that being fierce and being strong and being powerful is not feminine, when it absolutely is. If you have pushed a baby out, you know how much ferocity it takes to bring life into this world. Don't let somebody that can't bring life at all make you think that you're the problem because you're strong. No, go listen to. I'm gonna give y'all a song recommendation. Amy Winehouse, "Stronger Than Me." You should be stronger than me. You should be stronger than me. At the end of the day, and if it takes me being weak for you to feel strong, then you not strong enough. That's not a me problem. Get in the gym and hit your reps, baby. Y'all are laughing, and I'm I'm so serious. Oh goodness. Yes, yes, yes. So I'm not gonna keep y'all all day. I definitely wanted to have this conversation. Let me make sure I hit all the points that I wanted to hit. But yeah, overall, whatever relationships you're in, whatever relationship that you choose, just make sure that you set systems and protocols from the beginning that allow for everyone in the relationship to grow. Nobody, if you plan to be in it for the long term, whether you're going to get married or you're just going to be together, nobody is here to stay. Nobody is here to stay the same in the same box and never grow. So make sure that you're choosing the kind of love that gives you room to grow, the kind of friendships that give you room to grow. All right, ladies, thank y'all so much for your time. I hope that it has been worth every moment for you. And I look forward to talking to y'all soon. Peace. See y'all later over here. Let me see, where's the button?